Big welcome everyone to today's live class. So hopefully everybody is getting on well, everybody's keeping well. So first of all, let us know who's watching, where are you watching in from, start commenting underneath. If you know anybody that loves flowers and you think they might be interested in watching this free program or free course, why don't you tag their name in the comments below? And again, I'll be mentioning different companies throughout this tutorial, and I'd really appreciate if somebody there might help me out there and tag them. How you tag somebody is put the @ sign and immediately start writing their name, and that's how their name will come up as a link. Also, they'll get a notification to say that they have been mentioned. So it looks like there's lots of you joining in. So just to let you know, by the way, we have just updated the website. So all the calendars, all the dates of the next lot of programs have now all been updated. So I know a lot of people missed out on our last module 1 and module 3 there, and they're probably wondering when is the next one. Have all the dates up, and for some of them we have got SkillNet funding. If you go onto our website www.caseflowerschool.com, go down the very end and you'll see SkillNet, and when you click on that, that will give you the dates and the details and the links of the different courses that we have SkillNet funding, which can range between 20, 25 or 30%. It depends on the SkillNet group that's given us the funding. Anyway, back to today's arrangement. So today I'm going to use these navy hat boxes. These hat boxes are available from O'Neill's Flowers, okay? They're based up in Carlingford. They are a wholesaler supplier, but they will serve people outside the trade. So you don't need a trade card, you don't need a VAT number, you don't need to spend a certain amount. You know, that way any of you that are watching here now can actually go directly onto their website, order these hat boxes, or again, anything that you wish to. The hat boxes come in a set. I think there's 4 in the set. This is kind of one of the smaller medium ones, but they do go quite large. But when you're on their website, you'll get all the details. If you contact either Garode or Ellen up in O'Neill's, they're absolutely brilliant and they help you out. And the great thing about O'Neill's, we have a discount code. So if you use the discount code KAYSFS for Case Flower School, you'll get 5% discount off everything that you buy online. So the hat box comes with a lid. And what I have done in advance is I've just taped on 2 lollipop sticks, okay? You get the lollipop sticks in the art and craft shops, but listen, kebab sticks will do a similar job. Normally what I do at the end of the lollipop sticks is I just kind of like point them off, you know, that way, and that way they'll slide down into the oasis. And I've used a bit of anchor tape going across them. I sometimes find that the anchor tape is better than sellotape. The reason being, when the sticks are stuck down into the floral foam, they obviously absorb the water. The water goes up the stick, and sometimes with the sellotape it's inclined to come a little bit loose, where the anchor tape is waterproof. Now this is wedged down tight, so I'm not going to be able to take it out because I've already done it in advance. But you'll just have to believe me that there's a bulb bowl, B-U-L-B. Somebody might just write that because people often wonder, what did she say? A bulb bowl down inside the hat box, okay? And then I have my block of floral foam anchor taped in. So you can buy the bulb bowls, you can buy the floral foam, and you can buy the anchor tape, all from O'Neill's Flowers when you're on the website. I bet when you go onto the website you'll buy loads and loads of other stuff, because again, you'll be just spoiled. And again, depending on the seasons, you know, that way, if it's Valentine's Day, if it's Mother's Day, if it's autumn, if it's Christmas, if it's wedding season, if it's pumpkin season, they're always bringing in lots of new things. So listen, just go onto the website and just have a gander, or just have a look and see what's happening. So as part of the arrangement, I'm going to incorporate the lid into it. So I'm just going to use the lollipop sticks just to secure our lid into our hat box. The edge of this lid has a little bit of gold on it, so again, you could use it like for a golden anniversary or even at Christmas time and use gold accessories. But I'm kind of going for more all year round. Now, I do have a nice selection of flowers here today. And as I go through them, I'll give you the names and I'll give you a bit of information about them. But what I would say to you, go and get yourself a notebook and pen, cup of tea as well, because this will go on for a little while. Now, foliage wise, I'm going to use some foliage from the garden. Very little, I'll just show you here, like it's literally a handful, another little bit there. Just a handful of hebe from the garden, just a few little sprigs. And what I'm going to do is just cut it up into little sprigs. So I'm using very, very little foliage, okay? Because it is sometimes I find when people are making arrangements from their own home, okay? And I don't want to be kind of bitchy about it, but I'm going to use the word DIY florist or kitchen sink florist, as florists often call them, or basement betties, as they call them in America. Sometimes when people work from home, because they get foliage for nothing, they feel that every branch and every leaf that they took off the tree, that they must use it in the arrangements. Where in flower shops, we're a little bit more mean about the foliage. We're more miserable about it because we actually have to pay for it, you know that way. So we're not as flahula with lashing in the foliage. So I'm just going to show you here, especially because I have a really nice selection of flowers, I'm not going to use that much foliage. So cut it into a couple of little sprigs, and what you do is you clean off the end of the stem before you stick it into the floral foam. And just around the base or the edge of the hat box, here and there, and you can see the way I'm leaving little spaces in between it, I'm just going to kind of make, wouldn't even call it a circle, but you know what I mean, a little bit of foliage, just kind of going around the edges, cutting this one shorter, just going around the edge of the hat box here and there, but just making sure that the pieces are resting out over the edge or over the lip of the basket or the hat box. And even around the back there, you can see that I've just added in a little bit there. And then in the centre of the flower foam, I'm just sticking in another sprig there. You can see that one there in the centre, and I've 2 or 3 pieces left. So literally here and there, just randomly, I'm adding in them extra pieces. So no particular pattern, no particular shape, just here and there, randomly add in a few little bits of foliage. And you probably thought to yourself, oh my God, that's hardly any foliage. But look, I've got the coverage that I need. I've plenty of flowers to put into it. It's only if you're short of flowers, well then you might feel that you need to put more greenery in. But my motto always, and I teach the students this, less is best. You can always go back and put more greenery in later on if you need it. But it's nearly awkward, or it's nearly impossible to take it out, because when you take something out, you're leaving a hole. The hole in the floral foam won't vanish, it's going to stay there, do you know the way? And it's going to create a problem. And this is what happens with beginners, is you're inclined to stick things in, take it back out, stick it in, take it back out. And every time you do that, you make another hole in the floral foam. So then when you do stick a flower in and you leave it in, well, the empty hole beside it collapses, you know that way? And then what happens is 2 holes side by side make a bloody big hole, and there's more chance of the material falling out. So try not to, at the beginning, take stuff in and out of your floral foam. Now, flower wise, what have I got? So I'm just going to use one of these. Leucospermum, or pinhole cushion it's often called. This is a great lasting flower. It's an exotic flower, but it lasts for absolutely ages, and you can buy them in small quantities in the wholesalers. It looks like a pinhole cushion. Do you remember like something, I don't think my mother had one, but your granny might have had one, like a little cushion and all the little straight pins stuck into it. That's where it gets its nickname, pinhole cushion. Now leucospermum is obviously a mouthful to try and remember. I always think of a spare mum. You always need a spare mammy, don't you? So a spare mum, leucospermum, and that'll put it all together, and that's the name of your flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it as a kind of a focal flower in this hat box. Cut the end on a slant, obviously. Clean off any leaf that's at the bottom. And just in front of my lid, I'm going to insert that flower just there on its own. As you can see, nice and cute. It's going to last for ages. You could get 3 to 4 weeks out of that flower. It's absolutely a brilliant lasting flower. The next flower that I'm going to use is our brain flower, because when you look at it, it does look like brains, doesn't it? It doesn't really look like my brains. Say my brains are a bit smaller. But celosia, spelt with a C. I might be wrong here, but C-E-L-O-S-I-A, something like that. Somebody might actually put that in the comments for me. And I did forget to ask somebody to tag O'Neill's Flowers. If you would do me a favour, put the @ sign, O'Neill's Flowers. It should come up for you there. And again, when it comes up in blue writing, it's what we call a link. So when you click on that blue writing, it brings you direct to their page. Or again, you can just Google their website, www.o'neillsflowers.ie, I think. And again, you can go onto their website and have a look. So what I'm going to do with the celosia, I've 2-3 different sizes. I might only use 2 of them, but normally if I'm using 2 of a same item, I always put the larger one at the bottom. Okay, so this is the larger one, which I'm going to place at the bottom onto the floral foam there. Okay, and then I put the medium one above it and the smaller one above that again. But I'm just going to use actually the smaller one. I just kind of feel the 2 pieces will be enough today. So it's always the bigger item at the bottom, and it's always the smaller item just above it, okay, if you're kind of giving it a little bit of depth. So again, you can see just them 2 celosia and our 1 pin cushion flower, and it's nearly finished. So we're just looking for a little bit of detail in the arrangement. The next flower I'm going to use are these amazing roses. If you look at them from the outside, it's kind of, they actually nearly complement the top I'm wearing today. They're pinky on the outside, but they're orangey, peachy on the inside. They look like somebody poured a bit of cut tea on the inside and it stained it. So just here in the front, I'm just going to place in one of them roses there, again as a focal flower. It doesn't need much. And just around the back side of the arrangement, I'm just going to add in another one of these roses. So if you're writing up the stem count and the list of ingredients, you can see it's taken very little material. It is all about having a selection of flowers. So this is where, if you're going to your local flower shop, but even your supermarket, buying a mixed bunch, okay? So if you get a mixed bunch and the colours complement each other, you'll probably find that you'll get away with, sometimes I find, less flowers. Chrysanthemums and carnations, now there's nothing wrong with them, okay? But you'll very rarely see me using them, because everybody out there uses chrysanthemums and carnations. And again, it's very homemade looking, it's very kitchen sink looking, it's very DIY looking. By using something a little bit more unusual, it makes your arrangements just that little bit different. Now, talking about carnations, I have got here some large carnations, or the proper name for them is dianthus. Now, the large carnations are absolutely a great lasting flower, as is the baby carnations, by the way. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to use one of them, okay? And I just think the reds and the oranges are going to really complement this navy hat box. So just over to one side here, I'm just going to add in just this red large carnation just over to one side here of our little basket. You see, just to draw your eye over that side. Another little flower that I have, and you might want to write this down, caps, K-A-P-P-S. Now there is a couple of different varieties of caps, because this is also, which I'm going to use this one as a filler, but I'm going to use this one as an actual flower, okay? So people often wonder, how do you make sure that you get the right one? So when our students are here on our courses here at Case Flower School, we supply all their flowers and all the materials. So basically we go onto a Dutch site. We mostly use either Hook Flowers or Van de Plas, okay, which are 2 wholesalers based in Holland. We go onto their websites, we obviously log in, and we do a shopping basket for every student that's on our course. So everybody gets their own box of flowers with their whole bunch of flowers. As in, you wouldn't just get one stem, you get the whole bunch. You wouldn't just get one large carnation, you get the whole bunch. You wouldn't just get 2 roses, you get the whole bunch, because we buy wholesale for our students. And that way then, as well as having lots of material for making their creations required for the class, they also have lots of flowers left over. Like, there's absolutely no shortage. But anyway, when you log in, you pick the flower that you're looking for, like say roses. And you can use the filter to bring it down that you're looking for either large headed roses, medium head or small head. Or long length roses, medium length roses or short length roses. Or you're looking for pink roses, red roses or orange roses. So there's all these filters that you can use. And then only the large headed rose that's 60 centimeters long, that's in a shade of orange, is the one that will come up. And again, you can pick them, and there'll always be huge choice. Like I find with the 2 sites that I've mentioned, there often could be a choice of 30 to 40 different varieties of flowers using the filter that I just mentioned. So you can imagine, if I didn't use filters, I'd be there all day going through all the roses. So it's the same with the caps. Just put it into the search, K-A-P-P-S. All the different varieties will come up. Again, go along the pictures, because this comes in pink, it comes in white, and again, you can pick the one that you want. So if you want to use this as a filler, or as a flower, which I'm going to use, so basically I'm leaving it as a sprig. I'm taking off some of the foliage, and just out to the right hand side of our hat box, I'm just adding that in there. Do you see, just to one side? It's just one stem, but just look at what one stem did. And then what I'm going to do with the other variety of caps, which is more of a filler one, you know, it's a bit like heather out of the garden, by the way. I'm just going to cut that into little sprigs and use it as a filler. So it's kind of like a foliage, but it's nicer than foliage. because there is a little bit of flower on it. It'll last for ages. It'll actually dry out in the arrangement, you know, that way. So when everything else is dead, this will still be alive. So I'm just adding a few little sprigs here and there. I'll just turn it around just so that you can see what I'm doing. That's the unfortunate thing about hat boxes, is I do need to have it looking at me when I'm adding in these little bits of material. So again, a few more little sprigs just here and there, just to give us, I'll just turn that around so I have more control over what I'm doing. Just as a little filler, I'm like letting some of kind of a bounce over it, and again, a little bit out to the side there. One other item that I have, actually I have two other items I want to add in here, is rose hips. So that's what a stem looks like, but that's also what a stem looks like. So I've used this smaller stem, and again, it's kind of like a rusty brown with a tinge of orange, but if you mix this with red flowers, it'd be beautiful. Mix it with burgundy wine flowers. I know some of our students were on and they were saying they had weddings on and it was a kind of winey theme. Well, that you'll find this will actually work with wine flowers as well. So again, it's just basically a little filler here and there, giving me another texture. So that's something that's really important when you're doing a flower arrangement, is that you get lots of textures in your arrangements, okay? Don't just use all the one type of flower. I'd often find with our students when they're practicing at home, do you know that way? As I said, we supply all the materials, but when the materials is gone and they're just looking to try out another posy or something, they may go to the supermarket and they'll buy just carnations, okay, or just chrysanthemums, where I would never get them to do an arrangement in just the one type of flower. Now, there'll be nothing wrong with their shape, there'll be nothing wrong with their placement, but it just looks flat and boring looking. Well, if you mix something else, like mix carnations with chrysanthemums, mix your roses with carnations, you know, they mix them and try and get a filler, whether your filler be wax flower or September flower or gyp or the rose hip or the caps, like put a filler in and out through it. The more textures you put into the arrangement, even with the foliage, I only use the one type of foliage in this particular arrangement, but often, like with our students, we'd send them out a bunch of mixed eucalyptus. So they'd have large leaf eucalyptus and small leaf eucalyptus. And again, the different textures of the leaves makes the arrangement look much more interesting. And the very last thing I'm going to add into this arrangement, just very little of it, is this. This is called seargrass, okay? It's absolutely beautiful, lovely in wedding flowers, and again, lovely trailing out of a wedding bouquet. But just to kind of cut it individual, and again, stick it randomly through the arrangement and let it kind of like bounce over your flowers. Can you see just even that one little piece there? Just add a little bit here and there. I think it's absolutely gorgeous through the arrangement, and again, it makes it really interesting. Where if you were to compare, well, hopefully you like this hat box, I think it's nice, but if you do like it, you know what I mean, and you were kind of comparing it to maybe another hat box, you'll find that maybe some hat boxes are very boring because they have used all the same material or all the same varieties of flowers or even all the same colours, you know that way, where you can see they're quite warm. They're probably winter, autumnal, I suppose, but you listen, you could easily substitute a lot of this material and do this as a pastel, kind of more spring summer arrangement depending on the time of year. I just feel at the back I could do with something else, so I'm just going to take a little bit of rose tip here off that spare stem that I had and just add it into the back of the arrangement, just beside that little rose and just beside that little seargrass that I've added in. And of course it'll always be the awkward one. That last piece, there you go, it just went in there for me. So you can see the back of the hat box is interesting, you know what I mean, but obviously the front of it is much nicer. Now hopefully you've been taking notes as we went along there, so you write up your stem count, you write up your recipe. So if you want to copy this one exact, you can go into your flower shop, buy the materials that you need. Again, you can always re-watch this video. The handiest way, because obviously our social media pages are quite busy, so something you see today, you won't be able to find it tomorrow. So if you click share, and that way you're sharing this video to your own page, well, it'll be easy for you to find it on your own page, because I doubt that most of you don't probably post on your own pages as much as we post on the Case Flower School social media page. If anybody has any questions at all, put them in the comments. Normally what I do is I check in each evening and I kind of respond to anybody that had asked any questions, or again, there could be some people watching on the replay. If you're watching on the replay, again, comment again where you're from, and you know us, we're dead nosy, what's the weather like around the world. If anybody watching would like to train as a florist, or they're unsure about it, or they're worried, or they're wondering would online work for them, First of all, go on to the testimonials on our website. But you know the best thing to do? Give us a ring here at the school. Have a chat to me, have a chat to Deirdre, have a chat to Sinead or one of the girls in the office. Ask any questions that you want and hopefully we'll put your mind at rest. Our phone numbers for Dublin is 01 for Dublin 4538649. Or again, if you're ringing from outside of Ireland, Northern Ireland included, if you ring 00353, the number 1, 4538649. The other thing, drop us an email, info@caseflourschool.com, put in your phone number and we'll give you a ring back. Listen, the best of luck. Thanks a million everyone for joining. And you know, this is social media. I do want everybody to click share and get this video out there for me. Thanks for watching.